Hey friends, what's going on? This is Andy coming to you from Daily Funk Club one more time, and hey, it's time for episode number 9 of the Enter the Chill Zone demo video series. And yeah, I'm having a great time doing these demos, just working my way through every bass that I have here. And today is a really exciting one for me because I love this instrument so much. It was made for me by Hammersmith Music, and it was one that I collaborated on. I had always wanted a 5-string P bass, and some of the other ones that I had tried over the years just didn't quite do it for me. First of all, the low B wasn't right, didn't feel right on a P bass, and second of all, the split P, the single split P thing just didn't measure up for me in terms of tone. So when I started working with Hammersmith about over a year ago, I started talking with the owner, Marco, and we decided that he told me he was going to start making 5-strings, and he showed me some of the designs, and he showed me that he was going to do this 5-string P bass. And I said, hey, I have some ideas for that. Would you be open to checking out my ideas? And he said, of course. What do you want to do? Let me know what you want to do. And I said, I want to do a big man in the sweet spot of the P bass position with the big man pickup from Nordstrand, which is a dual coil, and then have active passive electronics. And he was like, sure, I can accommodate that, no problem. So we started with that. That was kind of like the primary thing. And then he told me that he's doing this cool tucked in 35-inch scale thing, which is cool. It's a 35-inch scale, but the neck is brought back and the bridge is brought back. So when you're playing it, you don't feel like your arm is reaching way out here. You see what I'm saying? When you're playing it and it's hanging, it feels real tucked in, and the low register is real cozy. So it has a it's like a thin front to back 60 style P neck. So it's a shallow C. It's a real shallow C. It feels like a old 60s P bass. And of course, the paint job is bizarro. I love these super sparkle finishes, and he was able to. His painter is so awesome. They were able to do this green super sparkle for me. Has a rosewood fingerboard that's bound with the pearl blocks on there, and it's got his own bridge on there, which is really cool. He calls it the Smart Ass. It's kind of like a spin on the Badass, the traditional Badass, but it has the quick load option here, and it has Hipshot tuners on it, which are awesome. I use Hipshot USA stuff on just about most of my instruments. Have the Hipshot stuff on there, and I love it. It's my favorite hardware. What else? This really great tortoiseshell pickguard that I asked for that goes against the sparkle green in a really cool and wild way. And the electronics are the Nordstrand boost-only 2-band. So it has a series parallel push-pull on the volume, passive tone, and then the boost-only 2-band. So let's give it a listen. That B string is amazing. It's shaking the room right now, and hopefully it's not mashing out the microphone, but it's got so much low fundamental presentation in this B string. And my friends at Nordstrand actually worked on this instrument as well. They did the final setup and helped with getting the electronics situated. And Kerry, my good friend Kerry Nordstrand, when he tried the bass, he said, "God, the B string is absurdly cool." and as soon as when he told me that, I was like, "Cool," because I really trust his opinion on just about everything that has to do with bass guitars. with the tone at about 80%. Let's roll the tone back and see if we can get some of these kind of old school P bass sound. To just, I mean, the tone is just completely off on the tone. That's like a really cool, super murky. I think that for me, the way that I started with it, at between 50 and 80% is where I live on the passive tone control. So I'm going to put it back to 50%. Roll it back to about 30%. One of the great things about this big man pickup that I really want to make sure that I mention is the way that it keeps the low fundamental established in the D and the G strings. Because a lot of bass guitars, you can get the E and the A or the B or whatever, the low stuff, to really ring and really have a big, robust, full sound. But when you go to the D and the G, they start to get thin, okay? And this thing maintains a ton of low end in the higher string. It's not an overly, a boosted kind of a thing. It's just the right amount. Where on other instruments, sometimes I feel like that's robbed. And I think that has a lot to do with this big man pickup. The way the dual coils, the way that it picks up, the sound and transfers. And then there's the active electronics. So let's check that out. Right now, I haven't even turned on the boost only 2-band preamp. So now I'm going to start bringing in some bass and treble. Again, I'll play it real quick so your ears get used to it without it. Oops, I gotta bring the tone back up to about 60. Yeah. Now with some EQ, bass and treble. Even more. And some more. Now we can even get into like a modern slap sound. So it's got this super sinister thing, this super modern sinister thing that comes into play when I start using the EQ. It's all right there. I can bring it back which is typically what I do. I use the EQ sparingly on all my basses. I try not to over ramp with the EQ. The modern sound is not really my sound. My sound is more of a vintage sound because it allows me more dynamic range, and I play really, really hard. So I can play with more sass, more expression, and more of my individual personality when I don't have a whole bunch of EQ in my sound. That's just me. I don't know why, you know. I think it's because once you start processing it, it starts to kind of like sound like the instrument and sound like the amp and less like me. Whereas if I don't use a lot of EQ, that I make the bass sound like I need it to sound, if that makes any sense. I'm just starting to get used to it now. Because this is 35-inch scale, and you have to remember I'm used to 34. Typically in the past I've not been able to play 35-inch scale basses. It hurts my left hand and makes me play wrong notes and stuff like that because my fingers are so muscle memoried into the 34 realm. But this one, I have to struggle a little bit, but not that much. And it makes it so much worth it. It's like the Dingwall bass. You know, when I'm playing live on stage, this low B string, the way that it behaves through the PA, through the bass amp and through the PA, like through the subs and through the mains, that's where the glory really, that's where you really feel the glory of a 35-inch scale low B string. I have to say, because in our PA system, the way that it's crossed over and everything like that, for some reason the B just loves the 18s, and it sits there in a really tight and defined way in the front of house. Not that a 34 low B doesn't. I'm not going to say that, but there's a difference, and it's a good difference. So, you know, the slap sound, when I use it without any EQ, the slap sound is more vintage. If I want to get a little bit more sassy, I can bring, or a little bit more ballsy, I can bring in some bottom. To be honest, I don't do all that much slapping in the music that I play. I slap a lot on my own. I love to do it. I do it in 3 or 4 songs with the Johnny O band. But I'm not like slapping the whole time. I'm putting slaps in. I'm going like... I'm just kind of feathering them in there where it's tasteful. It's the best way to play slap bass, but I guess that's a topic for another video. Back to this instrument. This is you know, one of my favorites, and I'm definitely so thrilled with the way that it turned out because, like I said at the beginning of the video, it did everything that I needed from a 5-string P bass. I had wanted one forever. This is the only one that I have that's like it, and it's the only one that I need. It does everything exactly the way that I needed it to do. It has the shallow C, wide flat neck like a 60s P bass, and it has the rosewood fingerboard, which is warm, and it has the Nordstrand pickup in there, the big man pickup in there that I love. And it takes me to all the tonal places I need. It's built real sturdy, the bridge is solid, and it's got great hardware on it, so it does everything that I need it to do. It's got a quick access battery compartment, no cover, 4 bolts that are spread way out, holding the neck on. Yeah, so just thank you so much to Hammersmith Music, Marco, and to everybody at Nordstrand, because they collaborated on the final setup of the instrument to bring it to the place where it's at now. They were definitely super influential. Mo at the Nordstrand shop did my setup for me, and he's one of the best setup guys in the whole country. So any chance that I have to take one of my instruments to him, especially a new one, I like to take them to him, because he knows what I like, he knows what I need, and he knows what needs to happen. I don't have to we don't have to have long conversations about what needs to happen. He knows what needs to happen, and he does just a fantastic job. So there you have it. And before I go, I want to mention real quick the amp that I'm using. This is the MB Fusion 800 from Galen Kruger. I've been using it in the last few videos, and I've gone into a little bit more detail about it. It's a great hybrid Class D, so it's got a tube pre-front side, a legit tube pre-front side with 2 channels, so you can have 2 independent preamp stages that are foot switchable, and then an 800 watt Class D digital power section. Super lightweight, has no problem pushing 2 big cabinets. I also have 2 of their CX series cabinets, a 210 and a 410, and that stack sounds amazing. I use it all the time. And the cabinet that I'm using is the Bear Amplification ML112, which is the mid-loaded 112 cab. It has a coned mid-range driver as opposed to having a tweeter type horn, and I just love the sound of it. It's a really nice even dispersion full range cabinet that just sounds really great. So thanks a lot for checking out this video and all the videos. This is number 9. I'm trying to do 1 a day, and so we're just kind of really scratching the surface of what I've got going on here, because I'm at about 50 bases now. So there's a bunch more to come and a lot more fun to have. So I look forward to seeing you and talking to you. Thanks for the comments. If you have any comments or questions, obviously, to get your best and most accurate information, go to the websites of these different, people. Go to the Hammersmith Music website or the Nordstrand website, Galen Kruger, and Bear Amplification. If they don't have a website, they have a Facebook page where they're doing their business from. And, most of them have both these days. But there you can get a lot more detailed specs, and you can talk to the people that make the stuff, and you can get and some more questions answered that perhaps I don't answer. I don't necessarily work for these brands. I just do my best to bring them out into the public eye and strike up a little bit of interest, and hope that you'll go check them out. All right, friends, talk to you soon. Peace.